Sports Pueblo, 1350. This is the John Wristen Show, brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's join the voices of the pack, Jim Brooks and Joe Serby, along with CSU Pueblo Thunderwolves head coach, John Wristen.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Andy Max for the John Wristen Show. Minus Joe Serby tonight. It's just yours truly to carry the show tonight, along with the head coach, John Wristen. He'll be along here shortly as they get ready on their Wednesday practice. This week it'll be Adams State. Plenty to talk about tonight, I'm sure. Well, I think there's plenty to talk about. We'll see if we can find out a few things that happened over the weekend. I'll let the crowd here let me know when John walks through the door there as we get started. But where do we start with the ball game on Saturday? I mean, it was a heartbreaking defeat, to say the least, and a lot of different things could have happened, maybe should have happened, didn't happen, woulda, coulda, shoulda, all those things. But the bottom line is, the one positive, or the one definite thing you can say about the game, whatever decision was made late in the game, had it not worked, it would have been the wrong decision. Let's just put it that way. So it's tough to sometimes be the coach in that situation, because you know if it doesn't work out, you're going to be blamed no matter which decision you had made. And in this decision, they decided to go for it, the quarterback sneak. We can all talk about whether he got in, whether he didn't get in. First time, I think it's pretty definite he got in. There was visual evidence of that, and we got a glimpse of that first thing Sunday morning on the quarterback sneak. He was his torso with the ball and shoulders was all laying in the end zone. You know it was a touchdown, but the umpire, who was back on the back line, didn't bother to run in to verify that it was a touchdown. The two line judges couldn't see it because of all the bodies. When that happens, the umpire is supposed to get in there and get his nose right down into the pile and look down in there to see that the quarterback's over. But, he was a little heavy and was just a little lazy. Just didn't get in there to verify it. And by that time, Rex has to get up, thinking if there's another play, I got to get up and spike it. That's the thinking there. In retrospect, if there had been another 30 seconds left in the game, you lay on the goal line, and then you let the official verify that you're on the goal line. But we'll talk about that. We don't have to talk about it anymore with just me, because the head coach, John Wristen, has just arrived. You could hear the applause go up, and I'm sure, John, you're probably kind of excited as well tonight that Joe isn't here. Joe is at the Best of Pueblo dinner tonight, and that's a thing that the chieftain does, and so he's the MC. He was more or less not asked to be there. He was more or less told, you need to be here, Joe. So he said, all right, I guess I get the hint. So that's why we don't have Joe Serby with us here tonight. But the head coach, John Wristen, has arrived. And John, welcome.
Glad to be here. And you said it about Joe not being here. I did it. I just want to make sure.
Exactly.
You got to work with him.
Well, yeah.
So do I
my
guess,
work wife, as we say.
So,
but,
yeah.
Well, let's just get right to it, John. I told the listeners while you were walking in, probably didn't hear me because you're coming through the parking lot there. I said, whatever decision had been made Saturday and it hadn't worked, it would have been the wrong decision. Whether you go for it, don't get the quarterback sneak, it don't get in, it's the wrong decision. If you kick it and they miss it, it's the wrong decision. It's one of those things where you have to live with the decision you made, and really the decision you made was the right one because he scored. He just didn't get the officials' confirmation from it.
You go 1,000 different ways with this, and when you have to make those decisions in less than 15 seconds and you think something had already happened and you're going, okay, we're right where we need to be, and then all of a sudden the officials come up and they say, okay, you're putting 11.9 seconds on there, and then you're looking at the ball, and the ball is right on the goal line.
Yeah.
I've never seen it any closer without being called a touchdown from my angle.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a tough angle to kick the ball.
Right.
That's a tough angle to even have on
you're on the left hash.
We're on the left hash. And our freshman kicker, who had an outstanding day, I didn't want to put that pressure on him. And so my knucklehead mentality wanted to say I wanted to have a chance to go for it. So our guys said, yeah, let's go for it. Let's go make something happen. Let's go do it. And, we went for it. Yeah. And sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Well,
and obviously they took that opportunity away from us, and Mason did a nice job of stopping us on this second one.
Yeah, the second one, I guess you had visual evidence. Now, to my way of thinking, I tried to explain it to people. Your quarterback sneak, I thought Rex did the old Tom Brady move. You know, where you move in and you stick it across the goal line and pull it back. Now, to me...
That was on the second one.
Yeah, on logic tells me if I'm that far from the goal, like an inch, the center's right there, you may be 2 feet behind it as a quarterback taking the ball, you get that initial push and you reach across the goal line. You had to have... Physics tell me that my arm reach is 2.5 feet. That means I stuck it across the goal line, even if I'm 2 feet behind the goal line when I started.
That's how I see it too, Jim.
Okay.
And,
but I also mentioned, I go, you know, when we bring logic into the equation, sometimes logic doesn't work out with those other guys that get paid out there on the field.
Well, it's one of those things that...
See, I like to get in trouble, Joe. I push the issue.
Well, the real ultimate is that there's an old saying that you got to play better than officiates.
Yeah.
The officials can officiate.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought we did that for 59.50 of the game. Mm-hmm. And so there was some different things that happened during that game that put us in that position and had us an opportunity. And but it boils down to that our kids, you see it on tape. After Bernard makes the run of 13 yards to get down to the goal line. And our thought was we were going to center it, we're going to clock the ball and line up for a field goal. But I said, let's go quarterback sneak. So we take it out of his hands. And so you take it out of his hands so you have an opportunity to go score. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then when they didn't give it to us, we had to adjust in such a short period of time, and everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And the officials, I didn't think did a great job of commanding that game.
Right.
And just say, wait a minute, let's work together, let's tell you what's going on, and then you have a chance to organize and play the game. And so, and the officials know they made a mistake on the first one. And I got a call, and they said that you know, that there's, I don't know what they were looking at, and but a lot of good that does us now, right?
Right.
A lot of good, and so it really teaches us a great lesson about life. Life is not always fair,
right?
And I've challenged our guys that way, and I told them about our call with the head of the officials and the organizations, but it doesn't give us a victory. And so that's what we've been kind of dealing with. It was one of the toughest Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays, and I'm feeling better about it today.
Well, one of the great broadcasting lessons that Dave Socher told me, or way back when, remember old Dave? He might be listening tonight over where he stays, and checks in quite a bit, and I like to bring him up a lot of times because he is a sports legend. And he always told me, he goes, Jim, you know what, when you're on the road, he brought up the know your geography thing, but the thing you do when you're on the road, the goal line isn't the goal line. You need to run through the goal line and out the back. You don't even stop and lay the ball till you make sure they know you're in. And I think this might be the occasion the goal line wasn't the goal line for some reason, but I think the ultimate error is from the umpire, from who I've talked to, didn't get in there because they want, what I've been told by a few officials, is they want the line judge on each side to make that call. It's their call. But in that kind of situation, when they have that big pile up, they can't see all the way in there, so the umpire has to get his, more than ample butt in there and get right on top of it and look straight down, and then he would have saw Rex laying in and he would throw the arms up.
Well, is
that the mechanics of the play that you got?
Well, I was told that the side judge, who was the guy that was on our side, and he was looking, and he knew he was in, he knew the ball was in, but he didn't know how he got in. And so I said, really? I said, that's not their decision to know how he got in. Unless someone did someone rule it off. He said, no, the knee was out here, but he was in, and he didn't see that. But the ball was in, and so that should be his call and not be a judgment call, per se, of how we got in.
Yeah.
And so when I was told that, I go, I'm up against the wall here, and I'm not going to make any headway, and it's not going to make me feel any better. But it was one of those things that happened, but the great thing I thought was with that last really 2 minutes that we had, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you go from thinking you have no chance.
Right.
Okay? So we stop them, and I call a timeout on second down. We only had one, so it really didn't matter whether I called it on second or third down. And so we line up a punt, and then they call timeout, and we're gathering all our guys. So, all right, this is where we got to go. And we've been doing some twists inside on it. I said, we're twisting, and I brought Josh. We brought Josh. We brought the gunners in, and we made a great block of the punt. Now, you've seen a lot of football games.
Right.
Okay? How many times when you see a block punt that it goes straight down?
It was crazy.
Instead of going backwards. I mean, that's how well we blocked it, and it went straight down. And we have 3 guys there to go scoop and score. Right. And I said to everybody, I want the 2 outside goes, you're going to go get the ball, I want to scoop and score. And we executed. But the respect of the bounces of where that's going to go. So that goes straight down. So we get the ball on the 45-yard line. We make 2 great plays to get first downs, and we didn't need to clock the ball because we got it. And I said, let's run the ball and let's get it down there. And Bernard, we have everybody blocked for the free safety. O'Shea kind of slips off his guy, or it's a walk-in, and there's no question. And so we get down there, and then all of a sudden we have 2 crazy plays that really define that game, because that game was a heck of a football game.
Oh my God, it was great.
And it was one of those things that I think that you take away and you learn and you try to do those things, and it really this one really hurt.
Well, the ultimate villain in the whole thing is really Bernard McDonald, John, because he's too good. Because all you were trying to do was run it into the middle there, I'm sure, and looking to get the ball in the middle of the field to kick the field goal. And, he's so good, he breaks off a 13-yard run, gets down to the 1, and brings all this up. If he just goes, the play is probably designed to get 4 or 5 yards, get in the middle of the field. But he saw something.
We're trying to center it. We're on the right hash, and we just ran a zone to the middle of the field, and we had everybody block their guy, and there he goes.
Yeah, doing what he does.
One tackle away, and that created a little bit of chaos right there. But, I was proud of our kids and proud of our program, and I thought we handled it in a first-class manner, and I thought our kids didn't stomp and round and throw a fit, and that's credit to the class of kids we have and the class of program that I hope is demonstrated. Now, we don't always do that, but in that case, I can say I'm very proud of the way we handle those things.
Well, we hate to say it, but Mesa, I kept saying it the whole broadcast, they're living a charmed life this year. They've won some games they had no business winning, but they're winning. Right. And kind of reminds me of the Broncos in '77 when they won how do they win in these games? But they're doing it, and here they are again in that situation. Even after getting the punt block, said there's no way they're going to pull this one out. Now this is going to break their hearts. They're finally going to break this scheme, but you keep playing to the final gun, I guess. Well,
I think you go back to the first series. Mesa had not thrown an interception all year,
right?
And Trace Gray gets a handoff tip ball, and Ryan Merrill makes a good play. But I don't know if he had to go dive for that. You know, and he kind of dives and he stumbles on it.
Instead of running through it to the end zone.
Instead of running through it to the end zone or those things. We had a lot of those. And there's really 3 factors in that game, I think.
Hold those 3 factors.
Okay.
We're going to take this break. We're going to come back because, this game, you talk about ebbs and flows.
Right.
This one had it all throughout the ball game. We'll talk more about it. It is the John Wristen Show. Come on and join us here at Andy Mack's. Got a nice crowd. A lot of our regulars, plus a few more. We got the $5 buffet, drink specials. Even Lorelei and little Carly made it here tonight, Johnny. Can you believe that they're sitting over there?
She's not little Carly anymore.
Maybe Carly. Well, she's a teenager. Maybe she'll come over and ask you a question on the hotline.
All right.
We'll see. But come on down and join us. Andy Max, it's the John Wristen Show on Fox Sports Pueblo.
The John Wristen Show on Fox Sports Pueblo, 1350.
And welcome back. John Wristen Show here from Andy Max on Fox Sports Pueblo. Jim Brooks with you tonight. Joe Cervi on assignment at the Best of Colorado dinner, so it's just me and the coach. A little intimate talk here tonight amongst our friends, our loyal friends that have shown up here for the for your show here tonight. John, you find out who your friends are in situations like this, don't you?
Well, we sure have some great friends and great fans and family and everybody that supports you through thick and thin, and I know they heard as much as we did in that game. Well,
the ball game, the way it unfolded, I mean, it's just back and forth. I mean, it's kind of a slugfest. We knew it might be that way because both teams are pretty good defensively and both trying to find themselves offensively. You get out, you get that lead 3-0. You're probably feeling pretty good about yourself. Then they come down, tie it. But then I thought one of the keys of the game when it was 3-3 and they're driving again, looks like for the go-ahead score, you get the interception.
Right. Well, I think in my opinion that there was really three big factors in that game that we settled for field goals, where we've been really 9 for 9 throughout the red zone throughout the year, touchdowns. And so when you kick 4 field goals in a tight ball game, that's where you're not expanding your lead to do those things. If you just think that we scored those 4 touchdowns at that time, it's a whole different ball game because our defense is playing lights out. And then the second part was that we were able to go get turnovers, and that was a factor. And we didn't really turn the ball over, and except that one at the very end.
Right,
but
we
played, and then the third part of that is the missed opportunities that we had. We had a couple deep balls that were just well thrown, and guys are running great routes, and we had a chance to score on those things, and then we throw a different little play action pass to our tight ends, and they all had to make spectacular catches, but big time players make big time plays in those big time games, and so we'll do that. We will. It just didn't happen. And then those opportunities are when it's third down and we got the quarterback sacked and surrounded and going to make him punt with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left. We're going to run that clock out. And I firmly believe that. We make a questionable call on a 15-yarder. I think it could have been close to being a selfish penalty or not a penalty. I mean, it's one of those fine line things because when you ask you guys to play to the whistle and they don't hear the whistle and they're engaged, that happens. And so, I think those are all missed opportunities, I said. And you can look back at every game like this one was really critical. And I thought we did battle and we did find a way. No one, when it looked bleak there, when they scored and we didn't convert the first down on that drive. And then defense manned up, and they stopped them. And we blocked the punt. That shows a great character and the heart of a champion of playing. And so to our credit, and our coaches, we coached hard to the very end, and we had a great life lesson thrown to us because life isn't always fair, and it's how you get up and move on.
Well, a lot of our listeners, I didn't see it, Joe and I didn't see it, might clue them in on the personal foul on Brandon Payer. I guess is more or less pushing the guy over the pile, doing the old high-low in the hallway kind of, right?
Well, it was engaged. His lineman, and we had him sacked at a quarterback at that time, and it was kind of he was engaged and walked him back and fell over, and the umpire saw it and flagged him.
Thought he was doing it intentionally, whether he was or not. They saw it, and it's one of those you could eat, but in this case, know your geography.
Yep.
So one of those, you got to just hold back.
Well, I think
it's hard to tell a kid, though, to hold back when they're engaged, like you said.
Well, I just think it's one of those things is the geography, but also know the situation. What just happened there. And, it's part of us emphasizing it. And it's our coaching that we have to make sure that gets done. And we'll get it right.
Talk about a couple of the other plays. You mentioned the tight ends. I know Morgan Smith probably feels bad because it looked like on the pattern he was running the end zone. A lot of Rick Upchurch always told me in the booth, the first thing you got to, or one of the number one things a receiver has to know is you keep running. When you look for the ball, sometimes you slow down. You got to realize you got to keep keep your speed. And on that one where you're talking about he was open, looked like maybe you slow down just for an instant when you turn instead of just running through the ball. That would have been a touchdown.
Well, I don't. He didn't slow down so much. He just got turned
Tangled
a little bit, and it was off our play action, and Rex threw it where it had to be thrown, and we got to make a play, and it would have been a tough play, and you know, those are the things that happen in those games, and those are the defining moments that happen, and we'll learn from it. And then, you know, Daniel had one. He had one right on the goal line there that if he would have kept running, it would have been a nice, easy catch for him. But he made two other great catches.
Right, that's what I mean. He made up for it.
So, you know, it's one of those things, those missed opportunities you can say in every game, but those were magnitude because we could see the results of those because they would have been right in the end zone to have those things.
Yeah, I remember Michael Wristen. Your nephew was open on another one there. But that was looked like Rex got kind of hit on that play. If he'd have had just a fraction more time to just kind of set the ball and it looked like he got hit and made the launch angle, I guess, go off a little high, and that would have been an easy one. Yeah,
he had a chance on a little over route. The over routes were all, and Rex made a nice adjustment off the rush, and it was a little bootleg, and he had to throw it across his body, and that caused it to get a little high on him.
These are all patterns that are coming open probably because your running game's so good in that game.
Well, I thought we controlled it. We controlled that game for in between the second quarter and third quarter for almost 22 minutes. And when you do that, you know, you're running the rock, you're being patient with it. And then I really thought we had a chance in the fourth quarter to keep running it. And then they get hot on a couple drives. And they scored 2 touchdowns in there, and we settled for field goals. That was the difference.
And I guess in this final segment here, before we go to the next segment with our questions from our fans, we got a lot of them lined up. But another
go in the top 5, I would put it in there. And so we were down there on the 9-yard line, I believe.
False start.
We'll get a false start. And then we were substituting. I've never seen this happen before. We run our running back out to the hash and thought we were going to substitute. Bernard weighed him off. And so we brought Michi back off
I
the
thought
sidelines.
You had to be into the huddle.
That's, well,
interpretation.
So anyway, we go from first and goal on the 9 to being back on the 20. Basically on the 19-yard line. And it's first down. And so we make a couple plays, throw a little boot, get Morgan Smith, and we get back.
That was a good play.
Back down to the 4.
Right.
But if you have those on the 9-yard line, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so those are the things that are really self-inflicted wounds that we talked about, and you got to eliminate that to win games like this. And so we had 2 of those back-to-back. But the second one, you go, really?
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
It's always said that it's 12 men in the huddle, but if you never get to the huddle, how can you be and you're not inside the hash?
No.
See, that's what now you can see why we were and John, you know, we're going to get on the fish because we're going to close this game out here. But to start the ball game, you got to know you're in trouble. I made a YouTube clip out of it all. When the guy comes out and there's offside on Mesa on the punt.
Right.
And he says offside on the defense. And he looks over to Mesa's bench. You want to decline it or take it?
He was supposed to be.
Yeah, and he goes, well, of course, Mesa. Well, yeah, we'll decline it. So he keeps going. You figure somebody's going to clue him in. So finally he said, so like everybody's like, hey, dude. How many dude moments did we have in that game with the white hat?
I was going at that point, I go, am I really at a college football game?
Exactly.
I thought I was at the Sunset Park when we were trying to get those things happening. But the reality of that is that we had an option there, and he never gave that to us.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, I was so confused. I didn't know which way to argue on that whole deal. I'm trying to get some communication about what happened.
Yeah.
Because it made no sense, Jim.
I know. We were on the booth. I'm going, hey, dude, come over here, Mr. White Hat. So right then, it was set in my mind. I go, this could be some weird things. Then he called the personal foul, the face mask, which Joe and I weren't sure on the return. We thought maybe the returner got his hand into your guy's helmet. I can't remember who made the tackle, but one of your young guys.
It was Kyle Rosenbrock.
Okay, so he looked like on the stiff arm he might have did the twist.
It did.
So it could have been either way. It could have been offsetting. Even though, even a stiff arm, you can push on a guy's face mask, but if you grab it and twist it, so we thought that could be the personal foul. So when they called it that way, we're saying, all right. And so they're going to mark it off, and then he goes, oh, wait a minminute, it's against you guys. So again, you're going, what is going on out there?
I was told after the game, and I didn't hear it because that they call it Pueblo South, not
right. I didn't hear that, but yeah, we heard that. Or somebody told us that.
Yeah, so you just
it's kind of fitting.
I thought we were in college.
Yeah, oh well. All right, we're going to take this time out here. We're going to come back. We're going to move on. We're going to look at the questions from all of our fans. We've got the hot mic. If anybody wants to come on over here and give John a question in person, might even give you a meatball here. We'll give you Joe Servy's meatballs here tonight because he's not here to eat them. We got a piece of garlic bread. We got a quesadilla here too. I mean, these look lovely. So you might want to order those, and we got free shots for afterwards. That's great. All right, here we go. John Wristen Show. We are at Andy Max. Come out and join us on Fox Sports Pueblo.
The John Wristen Show on Fox Sports Pueblo, 1350.
John Wristen Show. Sure, you can howl. Tundra's over there?
Yeah.
Tundra's there. I hear Tundra. Okay, all right. Tundra snuck in on me here tonight. That's good.
On cue.
Love it when Tundra's here. Well, John, we got some jam-packed texts here. I mean, we got a lot of them today, and most of them are positive. And we're going to start with Mr. Positive. You know, we talk about, he's that guy with the stadium named after him up there on the hill. Mr. Positive, we like to call him. But he didn't have a question, but he more or less had a comment and more or less a compliment to the way your ball club handled adversity during the game and after the game, especially when, they more or less took it away from you. You had to feel that way. You could have been running around. People could have been throwing their helmets down, could have been really irate about it. But no, the team kind of, after the initial congratulations, all gathered as a team, and then kind of walked off the field with composure. And I think he wants to compliment the ball club for that way, and there's still a lot to play for.
Well, you never know what's going to happen in the last half of the season, and like I said earlier, I really appreciate the way our fans, our staff, but most importantly our players handle it in a first-class manner. And we've been around other schools that we played that haven't necessarily handled it that way. And I think our guys did do the right things, and it was the direction of trying to be positive. And we learned that from Mr. Positive. So that's one of the things I think that we try to pride ourselves on. We're going to hand ourselves in a class manner, and hopefully we demonstrate that when adversity hits.
Well, we mentioned Tundra's here. Uncle Charlie, Tundra's uncle, down there in Texas, he likes to check in, and he's checking in this week. More or less had a lot of the same comments about the ball club. This it feels bad. His gut hurts about it all, and I'm sure a lot of the fans do as well. Yours does as well, but he's been a football coach in the past. He knows how chaotic it gets, so he empathizes with you with the problems you face there at the end. But he's just wondering what other scenario went through your mind, or what you think you could have done there differently.
Great question, and you think I've ran that through 1,000 times. This is what I still would have gone for it on the first time.
Right.
And then I thought, if we didn't get it, I would have spiked it and probably kicked the field goal. But the other scenario goes on the first time, there was an injury timeout. And so we didn't know if they were going to stop the clock, would it go. I would have got my goal line personnel in and would have ran our 2-play package that we have. And so that would have been a scenario also. And but it was so chaotic with officials not explaining what the situation was.
Yeah, to get it there, they don't know if it was an injury timeout, but I thought in the last 2 minutes, but the goalposts are narrower too from there. People don't realize that.
It's an angle, and he struggled a little bit on those short ones, and so all that's playing through my mind. I says, well, I'm going to put it in our center and our 2 guards. our whole offensive line's hands and our quarterbacks. So that was my decision, and I still, yes, I would do it again.
Yeah, and when you watch the replay of it, from the end zone look, I mean, you guys blocked that to perfection. I mean, there's the middle guard there. You move him out. The safety tries to come up. He gets knocked on his side over. I mean, it was a beautiful hole. I mean, it was a perfect quarterback sneak. It looked like Bart Starr in the Ice Bowl.
Yeah.
What it looked like to me. And I thought, man, that was an easy call, and they didn't give it to you.
Well,
anyway.
when your waist, you're from your hips on, you're in the end zone. When the ball, you think you scored. And you know the great thing about that clip, Mace is deflated. Their head's going around.
Yeah, they're
not celebrating. Our guys are going touchdown. They're just kind of waiting.
Yeah.
And then our guys aren't going crazy because they know we got to go do something because of this.
Yeah.
We got a question here.
All right, let's go. We got the hot mic. We are ready. It is hot. It is ready to go.
Hello.
Coach, I'm not going to ask you about how the game ended. I'll leave that for the second guessers and the armchair toads out there. But what I understand is at the end of the game, the fans and the students of Mesa State Cheaters College were taunting you and just giving you all kinds of stuff. My question is, did they egg your bus?
It wasn't egged by the time I got out there. I think it was parked in the back by the baseball stadium. We had some security around there, so no.
Well, that surprises me. I figured they probably would. That's kind of a junior high kind of a deal.
Well, I appreciate you looking out for us, Charlie, on that, and having security there.
Thanks,
for us.
Charlie.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Charlie. That was a great comment, Charlie.
Saying the things sometimes we think but can't say because we get in trouble. All right, Charlie, thank you a lot. Ken's checking in from Denver. It says your offense got 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing. Got to be excited about that.
Yeah, it was I'll take that anytime they're balanced that we had. I thought Rex played an outstanding game, and I thought our offensive line, we were targeted right. It was nice having Bernard back. It was an improvement, and we got to keep improving.
All right. Now, for some real tough questions.
Let's go.
Let's get a real tough one. Madison and Abigail on time today.
Right.
Actually ahead of the show. They got this one in. They want to know here. This is a tough one, Joe. How many tarantulas have you seen at the Thunderbowl this year, and how do the boys react when they see one?
You know, I haven't seen one, and I haven't seen the guys go all crazy with the tarantulas like they normally do. Last year I had a tarantula crawl up my window overlooking, and I took a picture of it. So it was a beautiful looking tarantula, if you want to see it. Some guys like the tarantulas.
Yeah,
some guys they chase with all around, and so it's whether you like them, you go find them, and if you don't like them, people chase you with them.
All right, Madison, Abigail, thanks. Being on time this week, we love you. All right, Tim from Pueblo West checking in. How's the spirit of the team this week, and what are the new goals you set for your team? I'm sure the number one goal each and every week is to go 1-0.
Well, there's a couple things that have to happen, and I addressed the group on Monday, and I felt for them, and I told them that, and I showed them the tape, and then after we do an 8, 9, 10 play highlight of the game of people with great efforts, and we were going to do that. We were going to celebrate those things, and then after the tape, I said, that's over with. And we can't let this game beat you twice. We can't let this hangover beat us twice. The only way you can prove who you are is that you got to go 1-0 each remaining weeks. And if you go do that, you validate who you are. If you don't and you slop around, you validate who you are. And so I want to be about a bunch of guys that want to accept this challenge. They understand that it's not fair. They understand that our goals of being in the playoff are very tough, very slim. Our goals of being being six-time RMA champs are slim and no. But we have only control of each Saturday about going 1-0 and playing as hard as you can for 60 minutes. And this is being your truest test of your character.
All right, got a two-part question from one of our fans that checks in most every week. Wants to know, he just wants you to know the fans are behind you, want to be positive, thinking everything to support them. Also,
today I decided we're going to have fun. So we had 23 periods. Period 15, had Coach Wardo go up to Christy Koski now and go up and give me 12 softballs, give me a softball bat. So we had a home run derby for 5 minutes. And
nice.
I picked the 3 guys out. We went offense, defense, had a little fun. And I was slow pitch, and I was pitching them back there. Boy, those balls are coming out there pretty hard. I thought they were going to take my head off. And so I described, how we spell fun around here is W-I-N, and I want our kids to have fun. I don't want them to mope around. We really had 2 outstanding practices, and so I'm happy with our progress. I'm happy with the leadership and understanding what's going on. I'm happy with their coaches, where we're going. But the main thing is, if we hang our head and we have a hangover, shame on us, because that's life. You got to deal with it. You got to get up off the canvas, and you got to go to work. And if you don't, life's going to beat you down. And so this is the most important life lesson these kids can learn. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how we respond. I'm looking forward to our challenge that the coaches have laid out. I'm looking forward to this opportunity, because this is why you should coach, because anybody can do things when things are going good. Now this is your greatest opportunity to lead, and I'm looking forward to this.
All right, we're looking forward to the next segment. We thank all of our listeners, everybody here. Charlie, thanks for the question in the house, the hot mic.
We got any more hot mic?
If we got any more hot mic questions, we could take one when we come back after this timeout. We got one more segment. We'll talk about this week's opponent, dreaded, the Green Machine of Adams State. That all comes your way next. John Wristen Show on Fox Sports Pueblo.
John Wristen Show on Fox Sports Pueblo, 1350.
Welcome back to the John Wristen Show here at Andy Max, our one final segment of the evening here as we get set for this weekend's ball game. Again, on the road, it'll be in Alamosa against Adams State. 1 o'clock, we'll be on the air here on Fox Sports Pueblo, 12:30 with pregame shows to take on the Grizzlies of Adams State. And looking at the RMAC, John, when I'm looking at the standings, it's almost in a lot of ways upside down to what I've remembered it in the past. But Black Hills State, who would have ever thought Black Hills State would be battling Mesa for first place in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota in October? Not the Thunderbolts, I'm sure, but congratulations.
Black Hills, that's the one, and they're playing well, and I believe they're 4-1.
Right.
And only had 1 loss, and that was the South Dakota Mines in the league. And they're playing well. They're playing a lot of confidence. They're running the ball a little bit better. They went down to Alamos, had a 1-point victory over them, and so they're a quality group.
All right, Western State's at Fort Lewis this week. South Dakota Mines at Highlands. Mesa, as we mentioned, at Black Hill State. Dixie State at Chadron. Dixie with a big win over Western State. That's probably a good conference win for them.
I really thought that Western was going to win out, and we were going to win out and have a battle up in Gunnison, which we still will. But I thought that might have a defining factor in the championship. But we both lost this weekend, so that erased that. I think Jazz Baines and their crew. Like I've said from day one, I have a lot of respect for what they're doing and how they're coaching.
Well, I think both Western and you guys, we might as well just treat that as a bowl game.
Yeah.
They're in late, I think it's October 30th. Might as well have the Mountaineer Bowl.
Sounds good to us.
Good to me. All right, we'll be there. We'll see how that goes. Let's get to this week's opponent, Adams State. They've had some highs. They've had some lows. They had a high a couple weeks ago. Actually, a week ago Saturday when they won the game against Chadron. Chadron missed a field goal at the goal line. Joe and I kind of brought that up when you're going down when your game. You go, it's not automatic, folks. Even a 23-yard field goal, which they missed, it's not automatic a kick. So you could see what was going through your mind. And I'll be damned, Chadron missed that kick and lost the ball game, and Adams more or less stole one from them. But they played hard that ball game. We watched a lot of that game against Chadron.
They are playing a lot harder, and I think Rosie's got them going in the right direction. I think they're a much better-looking crew. They're playing a lot better defense than what I recall last year. We also, I think they're finding their rhythm on offense. They're throwing the ball.
Hernandez and Brown, the receiver.
Yeah, the Brown is the receiver, Corey Brown, the running back, and Addie Brown. They got both of those guys. Addie's from over at Mullen, and we kind of know who he was. Corey Brown's a JC kid that has done a nice job. And, they started with another quarterback at the beginning of the year. And then George, number 3's come in, and then number 13's a kid we recruited. He's out of Las Vegas, and he's playing a little bit. Came in a little bit at the end and did a nice job. And I think that on defense, they are playing some real young guys, and they're going to be great. I mean, they're good now, but they're going to be great down the road. And they got some big freshman defensive ends. That this 99 kid, he is active, and he's 6'6", 255 right now. And 93, Logan Murray, he's a dang good player. And then come in with another kid, 99, I think he's from out in Alaska. And then big nose guard, Quashawn Warren, and I believe I pronounced his name right. I'll let you.
Yeah, we'll worry about that later.
He's a big old nose guard, and then they're going to come from all over. They play a 3 down front.
Okay.
Play with 5 guys around, and they try to bring 3 of those 5 guys and try to get numbers to you. And then they keep sometimes they play in a man, and sometimes they play in a little cover 3 and little quarters. And so we got to be able to make sure that we're on target with what they're doing with this. The key is being on target. The key is making sure that you don't get out schemed per se with the numbers at the point of attack.
Well, the challenge for Rosenbaum, the head coach, he's kind of in a situation, John, you were in your first couple years. He's got to try to hold everybody together, keep playing hard until he can get his system entirely implemented, being only his second year this year or third year? I can't remember what it is. Second year. So you can see signs of progress down there, and knowing his character, if they can just keep it together, keep with the game plan, they could be a force in a couple years.
Oh, I think they're gonna upset some people, and they're gonna go after it. I've been really impressed with how hard they're playing and what they've been able to do, and they've had some miscues like any team been able to do, and but they keep playing hard, and I think that's a credit to the coaching staff and to their character and their kids.
Well, the challenge for your ball club, as we'll see, I'm sure you're anxious to see how it comes. You've said everything's been good in practice, but until you get out there in the game, that first couple series, just want to see how everybody reacts. Body language will be big, and just get out there and start competing right away.
Well, the best you got to get back on that horse.
Right.
That's your best medicine, and so you can't mope about it. You can't go around and feel sorry for yourself, because if you do, someone's going to just hit you right in your jaw, and you just got to go to work, and that's the only way I know how to. And I know how bad the kids feel, and I know we had a heart-to-heart with my inner circle guys on Monday, and I wanted them to share their frustration. I want them to share how they felt. And then I said, okay, when we walk out of this door, we got to be locked arms. And we got to respect that. We got to respect each other. And we got to respect those decisions. And everything is tending is green arrow up and green light go, and let's go have some fun down in Alamos.
On our final half minute, historically we've traveled well down here. It's always been a nice atmosphere. It's almost like a pack home game in some respects when you get down there to Adams State. They come out and support really well too when they're taking on you. Looking forward to an exciting atmosphere. Looking forward to the fans traveling.
Yeah, I believe it's Potato Valley Day or Potato Spud Day, the Eye of the Potato Day, or it's one of those special days down there, which they do a great job of supporting that
great new facility,
valley down there, and the San Luis Valley down there, and it's a great. We're only 2 hours away,
right.
100 miles. Let's go have some fun, and I know they're looking forward and pointing to this game, and we have to go play one heck of a ball game to even have a chance. And I'm just looking forward to our kids responding. I want our kids to play fast, and I've used that term, and maybe I haven't used it enough this year. I know know I've used it a lot in the last, and I'm going to bring it up. Now, play fast is with the cause, and you're focused on your job, you're not beating yourself, and you have the respect of the game. And I really, really looking forward to the Thunderwolves doing that. We appreciate all the fan support, and we need everybody down in Alamosa.
All right, we're looking forward to it. We'll have the ball game for you Saturday. 12:30 pregame, 1 o'clock kickoff from Alamosa. It is the Thunderwolves and the Grizzlies of Adams State. Thank all of our listeners, all the questions we got. We thank the crew here at Andy Max, Caitlin Norton, our producer and engineer, everybody involved with Fox Sports Pueblo. Jim Brooks for John Wristen and for Joe Servey. Good night, everybody.
Go Pack.